So we are now going to try design a push down automata for this language. So as in the case of finite state automata, when we were designing it for a language, we would start with the transition diagram. Then later on we could define all the tuples properly by looking at the transition diagram. So if I got a transition diagram, let's say like this for some machine in the case of a finite automata, so I can define all the 5 tuples from here. Later on I could write what is the state, what is the input alphabet, what is your transition function and your initial state and your final state. So we are going to do an exactly similar thing with your PDA also. Let me take it and greater than or equals to 0, right? So what all kind of strings will be there in this language? So you can see that epsilon will be there for n equals to 0, then you can have AB, then you can have A2 B2, A3 B3, so on and so forth. So we have already got an idea of how we can design a push down automata for this language. You just push every A in the stack whenever you see a B. So we have said that you actually push a blue ball whenever you see an A and you pop the ball whenever you see a B, and at the end your stack should be empty. So since we do not write it as balls here, so we can simply say that whenever I see an A, I push an A here, right, and whenever I see a B, I keep on popping this A here. Okay. So we'll start right from the transition diagram. So first of all, we see that epsilon belongs to this language. Since epsilon belongs to this language, what will my initial state will also be the final state. Because without reading anything, I should be at my final state for my epsilon. Let me design it as my Q1, right? So this is, I am done with my initial state. Okay. What next? If my string is not epsilon, what we have to do now, as soon as we see an A, we have to push it on the stack. On seeing a B, we have to pop it, and the end we should see stack is empty. So how do you check that stack is empty? You should have a mechanism to check that the stack is empty. So how do we actually do it in a push down automata is at the very beginning. So with the at the very beginning means without reading anything on the input alphabet, I am going to push a symbol, a special symbol dollar on the stack, right? So which means that when there was nothing in my stack, what I did is, you can see it like I dropped a coin, let's say $1 in this stack. Then I pushed certain things over a period of time, then I popped certain things over a period of time. You should see that as soon as I again see $1 on this stack, I know that I have hit the bottom. The stack is empty. So I use this special symbol dollar. So please note that this dollar, you should not use dollar in your input string, as well as such a dollar should not be present in your any other stack alphabet. This dollar is exclusively used as your, I can say, let's say as a identifier symbol for checking whether your stack is empty or not. So what I am going to do now is, from Q1, without reading anything, what I am going to do, I am going to push this dollar in the stack, and then I will do my remaining operations, and whenever I see $1 again, it indicates that my stack is empty. So how do I write it? So without seeing anything on my input tape, so the transition for this is, I am currently at my state Q1. Without seeing anything on my input tape means an epsilon there, and again without seeing anything on the stack, I am not concerned with what is at the top of this stack. What do? I move to a new state and I push the symbol dollar here. And how can I write it down? In this transition diagram, I write it as Q2. So this state Q1 we already know that we are coming from state Q1. So I write down only both of these here. So when my input symbol is epsilon and my stack top is epsilon, then again from here I know that I am going to Q2. I just need to write a dollar here. Whenever you see a transition like this, so this is your input alphabet on the read tape, this is your stack top, and this is what you are going to push to the stack. So you should realize where all you should be changing states and where you shouldn't be changing state. So if you see in this example here, I have changed the state when we push dollar, and you should realize that why I have changed this state. What will happen if I do not change this state? So if I do it like this and I make this transition something like this, so what will this do? So I am on Q1 without seeing anything on the tape and without seeing anything on the stack. I just push a dollar and I am back on the same state. Again I can repeat the same step, right? Without seeing anything on the tape, without seeing anything on the stack, push dollar. So such a loop will keep pushing your dollars infinitely. I do not want to do that. We just want only $1 as of now in the stack. So we change the state here. So if I, by the time of Q2, if you look at the input tape, let me just draw it here. If by this time, if you look at your input tape, you are still standing at the initial square, and if you look at your stack, it just has one element dollar. Next what? Next, whenever we see an A on the input tape, we want to push it on our stack. So what I am going to do is, I should see here, I see an A on my input tape. Without caring about what is there on the stack top, I am going to push an A. So the transition for this goes like Q2, A, stack top is epsilon, you are going to get back Q2 and A. So what are you going to do? You are going to pop epsilon and push A, which only means that you are going to push A. And see here I haven't changed state. Right? So I am trying to minimize my number of states, keep my states to minimum. So since this loop has, this process has to be repeated again and again. So when I see an A here, without caring about stack top, pushed it here, and I am back on the same state. Again seeing an A, pushed it. Again seeing an A, pushed it, so on and so forth. Right? So I can keep this loop here. So let me just take it to the next slide. Yeah. So how will my stack look now? I'm sorry. Yeah. So how will my stack look now? So at initially when I came from Q1 to Q2, it was like this. Now what it is doing on Q2 is, it is reading all the A's. So I am going to, if my input is something like this, and this is my stack, so what will happen? So when I am at Q2, see the input is A, without caring about stack, I push this A here, then my input moved here, without caring about anything, I pushed my here, input moved here, again I am done with A. So this is the current condition of my input tape and my stack. next what we have to do, as soon as we see a B, we have to start popping. Okay, before that, one more thing here. If you look at this particular transition here, right, you can also write it something like this. So I can actually replace this one transition with these two transitions. So see what is happening here. So these transitions say that whenever I am on see an input A, if there is an A in the stack top, I push an A. And whenever if I see a A, if there is a dollar in the stack top, then also I push an A. So what we have done is we have just replaced both these transitions with a single transition here. Okay, what next? Now we have to start, we have done with pushing of all the A's. Now we have to start popping A's whenever we see a B. So how should we go about it? From this state, whenever we see a B, so this B is seen in the input tape, and if on the output tape you see an A, if on the stack top, if on the stack top you see an A, what you are done to do? Just pop it, right? So what does this mean? Input is B, so you are going to pop A, if A is at the top of the stack, and you are going to push an epsilon, which means you are just going to pop that A from the stack. And I come to Q3. Now, why I haven't put it as a loop on Q2 and we have made a separate state for this at Q3. So again you should see what will happen if I put it as a loop on Q1. So now this means that whenever you see an A, you are just going to push it and remain on the same state. Whenever you see an B on the input and an A on the stack top, you are going to pop that A. But look at a string something like this, A, B, A, B, right? So this is different from A, B, B, B. So after you have read all the A's, you should always see B and not an A again. But this machine won't do this. What this machine will do, it saw an A, it simply pushed all of them, right? Then when it saw a B, right, it popped an A, that is fine. But again when it saw an A, it will again push it back. So we do not have to design our logic in such a way. So when you have seen one B, you should never again see an A. So this thing here implies that once I have seen the first B, I just change my state. Now I should never see an A. So for this I can also write down a transition like this. If I see an A on Q3, then no matter what is there in the stack, I am actually going to do nothing and move to a dead state. Right? Because I have already seen all the A's, I saw the first B. After seeing the first B, if I saw an A, I should move to the dead state. But since it's a non-deterministic machine, if something moves to the dead state, so we can just no need to write it as it is. So if from Q3 you do not find any transition, if from Q3 you do not find any transition, for the case when your input tape consists of A, it actually means that you are moving to the dead state. So let me just write it down. If you don't find any transition for a given input or a given stack top from a state, this means that you are moving to a dead state. Similar to the NFA, no transition means dead state. Okay. So here we came when we read the first B. What happens when we read the remaining B's here on Q3? Right. So something like this. When I read a B here and again the stack top is A, you should go about popping A's. So with these three states, we have implemented this much part, that you have pushed a dollar in the stack. After pushing a dollar in the stack, you have pushed all the A's in the stack, and whenever you are seeing an B, you are popping these A's. I'll just move it to the next slide. Okay, so we are here. Next what? On seeing A's, I am pushing them. On seeing B's, I am popping them. Now what will happen? So there can be three conditions in a string. Assume that your number of A's can be equal to number of B's, or your number of A's can be greater than number of B's, and your number of A's can be less than number of B's. So in the later these two conditions, your string should be rejected, and in this condition your string should be accepted. So what will happen in case your number of A's are greater than number of B's? So we have basically pushed all the A's here, so there are more A's than B, right? So when I read the input on some B, some of these A's are gone. My input is over, but still if I look at my stack, there will be 2 additional A's in my stack. So basically my input will be processed completely, but I won't hit the bottom of the stack. So I need not do anything in that case. Why? Because if this is the case, what will happen? I am at Q3, I am reading all my B's, I am popping A's. So I pop this A, this A, this A here. Now my input is over, right? So I am still, my input string is read completely, but I am at the state Q3 after reading the complete input, and Q3 is not a final state, so your string will be rejected. So this case is dealt with. Okay. What about this case when number of A's is less than number of B's? So again I had some A's here, right, and I had my input string here. So when I saw some B's, I popped out these A's. Now still some B's are pending here, but I have already seen a dollar. So still my input is pending, but I have hit the bottom of my stack. And if I talk about the case NA equals to NB, it will be similar to this one. I will see the bottom of the stack, but my input will be processed completely. All my input is done. So what I am going to do here is, so you should look at this one carefully here. This is a slightly tricky. If at any time while reading my string, so I am not concerned about what's there on the input tape, if I see a dollar in the stack top, means that whenever my stack becomes empty, I just pop this dollar and I move to a final state. Right? So I'll again repeat it. What we are doing is from Q1 to Q2, we just pushed a dollar on the stack. On Q2, whenever we saw an A in the input tape, we just pushed that A in your stack. As soon as we saw a B on the input tape, we moved to Q3 while popping one A. On Q3, whenever I saw a B and my stack consisted of A, we kept popping that particular A. During this procedure, whenever we saw a dollar, this means during this procedure, whenever all the A's were popped and the stack became empty, we moved to the final state. Now it can give you an impression that if my string was something like this, let's say A, B, 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 B. So we have 3 A's and 5 B's. Basically this case here. So these 3 A's were pushed on the stack. When we saw these 3 B's, these 3 A's were popped from the stack. After these 3 B's were popped, you will actually hit the bottom of the stack, and actually I see a dollar on this B. And as soon as I have seen a dollar, we just move to the final state. So it appears like this string is also accepted by my machine, but it's not so. Why? Because your input is still pending. So you do not say that your computation is over until and unless all your symbols on the input tape are red. So what happens on this B now? On this B, I see a dollar in the stack, and I move to Q4. I am currently standing at a final state after reading this B. Now what happens for the next B? I should have a transition. So when your input is B, but I do not have any transition from Q4, and as we said earlier, if I do not have a transition for a particular symbol, for a particular input symbol from a state, it means that you are moving to the dead state. So what happens on this B here? I'll move to the dead state. For the other case, when your string was only AAA, triple B's, so when you see this last B, you actually move to Q4 and your input is completely processed. So for that string, you say that you have reached the final state. I hope that it is clear. Let me explain it again. So when we are moving to Q4 from Q3 to Q4, whenever we see dollar in stack, we move to Q4, right? So when I'm moving to Q4, so whenever you reach a final state like this in your push down automata, right, if your input is still not processed completely, your string will be rejected. So when you reach this final state, actually your entire string should have been processed. So if in any PDA, if I reach a final state, something like this, I reach this final state which is having no further transition, so there are no outgoing links and my input is not processed completely, still there are symbols which are pending in my input, I am going to reject it. Let me sync it back to the two conditions which we wrote here for the rejection of a string, right? So these were two cases. So one was you have read the input completely but you do not see the stack bottom. So this condition we have taken care of with the help of our initial and final states. So if it so happens in my PDA that I have read my input completely but I haven't reached my stack bottom, you will see that that particular state will be non-final. In the second case, when you have reached the stack bottom but input is pending, you will find a final state which is something like this but with no outgoing transitions. Should try one or two more examples for this and it will become all the more clear. So in this, so we are done designing this machine for AN, BN, and the machine looks something like this. Now when you have a machine like this, you can fill in and write all your tuples. So what all are my tuples? So my set of states is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. I need not show it explicitly. Then my input alphabet is AB. My stack alphabet is, so I always have either A's or dollars on my stack, a single dollar or an A. And then initial state is Q1 and final state is Q4. So there can be more than one final states in this particular example. We are having only one final state. And how can you write your transition function? So in this case, you can write your transition function separately for each one, like how we were writing it previously. So you can represent it like this, and you can write it for every single transition here. Or for your transition function, you can also draw a table and do it. So if you remember, we have seen how do we draw a table for a transition function in the case of an NFA. So in the case of an NFA, what we were doing, so from every state, for every input alphabet, so if there were two input alphabets A and B, we will see where do I go if I read an A on Q1 and write it here. Where will I go if I see a B on Q1, write it here. So here, in addition to my input alphabets A and B, so we can also have an epsilon here, and in addition to the input alphabets A and B, we also have your stack alphabets. So what do we do here? So for your stack alphabet, we make separate columns here. So your stack alphabet can be A, it can be a dollar, or it can be an epsilon. So A dollar epsilon, A dollar epsilon. And then now you keep writing it. So as an example, if I see from Q1, so from Q1 on A we have no transition, so all these remains empty. From Q1 on B again we have no transition, so all these remain empty. From Q1, if your input is epsilon here and your stack top is epsilon, then what do? You push a dollar here. So what you can do, you can write that corresponding transition in the relevant column. So what I am going to write here on this epsilon, I go to Q2 while pushing a dollar here. Similarly, if I want to, let's say, write the transition from Q3. So from Q3, when the input alphabet is B and the stack top is, when the input alphabet is B and the stack top is A, so where do I go? So we can write here from Q3, I remain on Q3 while pushing a dollar here. Done. So in this way you can fill the entries of this table, and if you have some entries and empty, so this means that there are no transitions defined. So all these empty things means that at all these places you are moving to the dead state and the string will be rejected. In this example, we have seen how to design a non-deterministic PDA, but the only part of non-determinism which we considered was the epsilon transitions. So how do we deal with epsilon transitions for your input alphabet as well as your stack? We didn't deal with a case where you can actually for the same for a given input and for a given stack symbol you can take more than two paths. So next we will see an example in which we will be having certain non-deterministic transitions in the chaining sense, in the sense that you can go on more than one paths.